What's going on YouTube? So when people think of Italian sports cars, they often think of Ferrari and Lamborghini. However, those are definitely outside of most people's budget. But here we have the refreshed 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulia. And this model actually starts at under $50,000. Now today we're up in Detroit, Michigan to take a detailed look at this refreshed model. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start out with the exterior, and specifically up here in the front, because this is where you're gonna notice the big exterior updates. Obviously, there's some things with an Alfa Romeo that you're not going to mess with, and that's gonna be that signature fascia. This part is going to stay the same, so you'll notice that three-leaf clover design in essence. So you've got the shield right here in the center, these large openings out here on the side, really gives it a look unlike anything else on the road and looks very handsome even as this model has aged through the years. Now, what is updated though is over here with our headlights. You'll notice that this has a totally new signature. This is going to match with the Tonale to get all of their models kind of on that same design. These are a premium full LED headlight replacing an HID, and then you've got the three daytime running lights running through there. I think this looks quite nice overall. Now another signature thing that every Alfa Romeo must have, it seems like, are your signature 5-hole alloy wheels. We have 19-inch alloys on board with this model, just an absolutely beautiful design. And then you've got your red brake calipers back here in the back to accent. And speaking of colors, let's talk about this color. This is a moonlight color. It's a new paint that Alfa Romeo is offering. It's actually their first ever matte paint, and it looks absolutely stunning here in person. Now this is also a new trim level, by the way. This is the Competizione. Hopefully I said that correctly. I'm not Italian, but I'm trying my best here. And then coming up here to the mirrors, we do have the nice black finish up top. These are gonna be fully loaded with all the luxury features you expect from a luxury vehicle, including auto dimming.
Now that we're here at the side, I do want to talk about this vehicle's overall length. It's coming in at 182.8 inches long. And as far as some of the design elements, we do have blacked out window surrounds. And I do want to point out, if you go for a TI trim level or above, you're going to get this blacked out roof, which looks phenomenal with the paint color. Now let's head around to the rear design, because this is a refresh model. So let's see what Alfa Romeo has done back here. Now the overall look is going to remain very similar to the Giulia model, the 2023 version, but I really think that's a good thing, because this is a gorgeous design. As Drew mentioned in the front, every Alfa Romeo has a signature look, and that's definitely going to be here on board with this Giulia. Now over here on the taillights, these are slightly different in the overall design. They do have a clear taillight lens, and we're going to have a full LED componentry here, so LED brake light and LED reverse light and turn signal. Then as we drop down to this lower area, even though this is not the Quadrifoglio model, we do still have a very aggressive rear diffuser. We're also going to have dual integrated exposed exhaust outlets. And if you do choose that high-end Quadrifoglio model, you will get quad exhaust outlets. Now when it comes to the safety systems, if you get a little too wild in your Giulia, you are going to have a few of them as standard equipment. Forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection as well as adaptive cruise are standard features on this model, and you can further option on the other safety systems in a package. But guys, that wraps up the refresh exterior design. Let's see what Alfa Romeo has done on the inside. But before, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now before we check out the important tech updates to the interior, we'll go ahead and take a look at the key fob. We do, of course, have a standard smart entry system. This has a unique Alfa Romeo key fob, and remote start is on the fob as well. To get inside, just reach behind the handle. That's going to unlock the door. And take a look inside the interior. It does have that signature design that Alfa Romeo has had for a while. And we'll talk about the seats first. These are one of the things I really like about this model is that we have very nice and aggressive seats. These things will really hold you in place, and they're very stylish as well. So you've got the nice perforation running through there. Up at the top, you'll notice that we do have specific branding for our trim level as well. Now, as far as the adjustments, you do have 14 ways of adjustment. You also have your memory seats located right there. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we've climbed inside the vehicle, let's take a look at the overall material quality. Over here on the door trim, we do have a nice leather padding. I also like that they're running leather all across the upper door trim, and we have the real aluminum. Through the upper part of the dashboard, again, full leatherette covering with the stitching detail. We have the aluminum running through there, and it's nicely padded down through the lower sections as well. Now, don't get confused. The push button start's not going to be over here. It's located right here on the steering wheel. Now we're going to be able to get to the tech update right from the start because it is this right here. It is our new 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. Previously, you're looking at an analog setup, but now we have the digital setup. And the benefits of that, of course, are the fact that you can reconfigure a lot of different information. So using the steering wheel buttons here, we can cycle through a lot of different kinds of information. Also, you have a little design changes when you choose to have a different drive mode with your DNA controller. Now, as you pull back to the steering wheel, this is one of my very favorite elements of the cabin. This is an awesome steering wheel, guys. Great feel in the hand, fully leather wrapped. You got the perforation up here, flat bottom design, and then we can't forget about these just massive column mounted paddle shifters. These things are awesome, and they're full metal. Now, as far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual, tilt, and telescoping. Let's turn over here, take a look at our storage solutions. Console is going to be decently sized. It's obviously not too big, but this is a compact sedan, so we don't expect it to be too big. You also have your wireless phone charging pad, so your phone can kind of just slide through there, and you can access that whether or not this is open or not. Coming up through here, we do have our 2 cup holders, and you got another pretty deep storage bin up in the front for just various loose objects. Taking a look at our shifter, this is an electronic shifter, of course. Kind of reminds me of a BMW shifter. Pull back for drive, bump to the left if you want to shift manually, and again you have those paddle shifters I just showed you. Push up to go into reverse, and when you go into reverse you're going to see a standard backup camera. We do also have front and rear parking sensors, but of course, as you can probably tell, it is very small. I'm not sure exactly what's up with that, but it's only taking up about half of this display. I definitely wish they would have updated this with the refresh, but they have not. And then just press the P on top for park, and you've got your electronic parking brake located right there to the left side. Now, as far as our climate controls, we do have a dual zone automatic setup. I like that everything is physical, no crazy touch buttons or anything like that. You just adjust it there, it appears in the display. Also in this area, you'll notice that we have our standard 3-stage heated seats. Seat ventilation is not going to be offered on the Giulia, and we also have our heated steering wheel right next to that. Now, as we rise above here, let's take a look at our display. This is going to be an 8.8-inch display. One thing I do want to mention that compared to the new Tonale in the lineup, this actually has not been updated to the newest Uconnect 5 system. So you are going to have the older style system. Because of that, it's just not the latest and greatest. You are going to have a little bit of lag here and there for sure. And the display itself is a little on the small side, but all the functions are still going to be there, including Android Auto and Apple CarPlay ability. Also, your volume knob for the audio system is going to be located down here, and we do have a 14-speaker Harman Kardon sound system when you choose to have at least this Competizione model, and you do have those metal speaker grills right over there. Now, as we continue on, we do have an auto-dimming mirror up top. You have LED interior lighting. And then taking a look at the roof here, you'll notice that we do have the dual panel sunroof. This is a very nice feature to see on a small sedan like this, and certainly gives a lot of light to this interior.
And let's check out the rear seat of this Alfa Romeo Giulia. Now, back here, of course, the space figures and all that are not going to change with this refreshed model, so we're still going to have 35.1 inches of legroom, 37.6 inches of headroom. So for someone who's 5'9", like myself, there's definitely no issues in terms of space. And Drew is 5'8", and this seat is adjusted to his position for your reference. And as you can see, I still have plenty of legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the features. This is a luxury vehicle after all, so we do have rear vents. Those are standard equipment. I like that you can kind of move them in any direction. Down below that, you have heated rear seats, which is a very nice feature to see in this segment. Additionally, you have 2 charging USB ports. Do be aware, though, if you're sitting in this middle seat, this is quite the center tunnel, so you're kind of going to have to straddle it, that's for sure. Center armrest does fold down, 2 cup holders inside, and the rear door trim is just as nice as the front. We have leatherette on the upper part, leatherette through the center, and on the armrest portion, and you even have a little bottle storage down in the very bottom. And let's see how much cargo you can bring along with you on all of your sports sedan needs. Now, as far as this space is concerned, it's 13.4 cubic feet, which is not a bad space figure at all for a compact sedan like this. As you can see, we even have a couple backpacks and some tripods back here. It swallows it up just fine. You also have covered hinges on the side, and if we lift up the floor, you will not find a spare tire on this model. And the seats do fold 60-40 split folding. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Alfa Romeo Giulia. And in this test drive, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading. But first, we're going to get a hard acceleration and see what's under the hood of this vehicle. Nice.
All right. Certainly very peppy. Quite impressed by that. Now, obviously, this is not the Quadrifoglio, so that does mean that you have the standard powertrain, which is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. You know, even though this is a new trim level and it sounds, you know, very racy,
yeah,
you do still have that standard 2-liter turbo. But that's not really a bad thing in the sense that it keeps the price tag affordable, and like I said, this is very punchy feeling.
Now, the reason it feels so peppy is because it does have very healthy power figures, 280 horsepower, 306 pound-feet of torque. So the horsepower is very impressive, and the torque, I think, is really the thing that you feel even more, is just 306 pound-feet of torque is a lot. So it definitely pushes you back in your seat once the transmission kicks in and gives you exactly the power band that you need to be in. It really is impressive. Now, it is a bit behind the Quadrifoglio model that has 505 horsepower. So obviously, if you're looking for like the highest performance Giulia, they do offer that, and that is a very impressive setup at 505 horsepower out of a 2.9-liter twin-turbo V6.
And I do want to point out the fact that this morning, as they were presenting the models to us, after 2025, there will not be the introduction of any new ICE Alfa Romeos. They're going to be moving to electric. So, you know, these performance models in the traditional, you know, gasoline powertrains are something that's going to be going away. And I think it's really cool. We've got a few more years here to really enjoy these models.
Yeah. Yes. Very good.
Yeah. So Alfa Romeo says 0 to 60 is about 5.5 seconds. Feels that fast to us. As you feel the turbo really hit. You got like a little lag at the front end, and then when that turbo hits,
yeah,
it goes. If you're wondering, you know, is this standard powertrain fun? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
This is fun. Now, of course, you're not going to have the sound factor like the Quadrifoglio, but this is certainly still feels very athletic when you're out on the road. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, we do have a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission. Shifts are nice and crisp. Specifically, once I went into the dynamic mode, that's what the D and DNA on your control knob for your drive modes stands for. Everything really sharpens up a lot with this model. One of the things I really noticed with the Alfa Romeo models is the fact that the drive modes are very distinct from each other. You have a lot of brands where you turn the knobs and they've got 20 different modes and they all feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
This is one where you change the mode it feels like things have actually changed. We do also have adaptive dampers on board, so you can feel that everything firms up. The steering is a lot sharper, and we'll get into that hopefully as we come across a few corners along our route with the dynamics. But yeah, everything here feels nice and sharp.
Yeah, and I will just say from the passenger seat, it feels like a very quick, nimble vehicle, which you can even tell just sitting here in the passenger side. So I like that because, I mean, a compact sport luxury sedan, that's really what it's made to do, and a lot of them have kind of been going away from that sport side. Now, as far as how the power is routed to the ground, you do have standard rear-wheel drive on all trim levels. We actually do have a rear drive model with us today. You also have optional all-wheel drive. So if you live in a colder climate like up here in Detroit, you might want to choose all-wheel drive, but we haven't had any issues putting the power down, at least in the standard powertrain configuration with rear drive. And, you know, now that we're just kind of cruising along here, I do want to talk about your general everyday livable elements about this Giulia. So the ride quality would be something that I do want to talk about here first and foremost. Even here in dynamic mode, I think the ride quality is not bad at all. And when you go into normal mode, it's even better. So despite having very large, beautiful wheels on this Giulia model, we still do have very good ride quality. The seats are on the firmer side. It feels like a German vehicle. If you've ever owned a German luxury vehicle, you probably know the firmer seats, and that feels very much the case with this Giulia. But ride quality, I think, is very, very good. And it's worth noting, if you want the adaptive dampers, that is going to be only on this Competizione. And if you want the adaptive dampers, that is only going to be on this highest end Competizione model, as well as the Quadrifoglio. And I do also want to talk about your fuel economy for the Giulia. So it's going to be sitting at 27 miles a gallon combined with rear drive, 26 mpg if you choose all-wheel drive, and if you choose the Quadrifoglio model, that's going to be coming in at 20 mpg. So honestly, if your budget allows, the fuel economy is not going to be a huge factor there.
Now, up here in Michigan, we don't have a great deal of corners to go around like we do in Kentucky, but the little bit of cornering that we have done here, I think, really shows just how dynamically capable this Giulia is. Mason was talking about this earlier. A lot in this segment have kind of shifted more towards luxury, and I think it's really refreshing to get behind the wheel of one that's focused on the dynamic capability. And you can tell that, like I said, especially in the dynamic mode, when everything is firmed up, the steering is super sharp. I mean, check this out. And this Giorgio platform is very, very capable. It just feels so buttoned down when you go around corners. Very balanced. It's just a joy to drive. And I think that is, you know, one of the things that stands out the most about the Alfa Romeo Giulia, and that's actually what I'm going to declare as today's slam dunk, because I think that's really the single biggest reason why you would probably want to buy a Giulia, is that capability really stands out above a lot of the competition.
Yeah, anything with paddle shifters this big that feel this nice, you know they're serious about performance. Now, as far as the airball is concerned, our least favorite element about it, it's still got to be some of the technology. So this infotainment screen, it is definitely showing its age. It's not the latest Uconnect 5, so you're not going to have wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. One thing that Alfa Romeo said, though, is that they're not focused on being the latest and greatest technology. They want that drive experience. So kind of goes hand in hand with the slam dunk, is if you want the drive experience, get this Giulia. But if you're looking for the latest technology, it's just not going to be here. But they want you to be focused on the drive experience more so than the tech. And as far as your warranty is concerned, you're going to be looking at 4-year, 50,000 miles for both your basic and powertrain. Additionally, you're going to get 1 year, 10,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And let's talk about pricing for this Alfa Romeo Giulia. So we have the fully loaded model, and we do have rear drive, so keep that in mind. We have quite a few different options on it. $1,595 destination. We're sitting at $56,815 as tested today, which I think is not a bad price point at all for this model. Now, if you're a smart shopper, the next place you're going to go to is carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, on there we have a tool that will allow you to be connected with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. Additionally, you're going to get access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, go ahead and find the link in our video description. And guys, that's it for our in-depth review of the refreshed 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulia. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help give us opportunities like this where we can come up to Detroit and sample out the full line of Alfa Romeo products. So we really appreciate that subscribe, and we want to welcome you into this Car Confections family. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.